The girl's entire profile, it said, the difference between me and a mosquito is that I don't stop sucking when you slap me. So a little bit of a different way of conveying herself, right? Question is, what are some ways to get to know a girl's blueprint through online messaging as opposed to in person where it's way easier? And this is from Initials HN. So thank you, Initials HN, for the question. The reason why I thought this was kind of like, at first, like a silly question is it's actually pretty much the same. Okay. It's pretty much the exact same stuff you would do in person. The problem is you're just going off of less information. So the metaphor that kind of comes to mind is if you're reading a book, if you're reading every single page of the book, you can be very confident that you know what's going on, very confident you know the plot, etc. And therefore you can do a lot more kind of bold moves or risky moves or that sort of a thing, right? You can be much more assured in your decisions. However, if you're reading only one page out of 3 and you're trying to assess the plot, you're going to be a little unsure, right? Imagine if you've ever been in this should relate to a lot of people. If you've been in English class and you only read part of the book and the teacher's asking you questions, your answers are going to be a lot less specific and more sort of philosophical and vague than if you actually had read every single chapter and word of the book and you know what the heck you're talking about. So it's the same kind of thing. You're going to be bullshitting a little bit more. You're going to be a little less refined and on point with the things you're going to say than you would be live. The other point that I really want to make is that when you're determining someone's blueprint, you are starting not from moment 1, not from the first word, not from the first message. You're starting from moment 0. You're starting from the first information you can glean, okay? So you're starting in online dating from her profile and her photos. That's where you start assessing her blueprint. If you're waiting till the messages, you've already messed up. You've already lowered the response rate for your first message by not already making some guesses at her blueprint in what first message you choose. You've already maybe not set up the most optimal frame to move things forward and move things towards a good result, depending on, having not already assessed the blueprint and taken some cautious risks or some educated guesses from there. So I'll give you an example of 2 very different blueprints that you might see from girls online. And these are like relatively typical ones. The first one's extremely typical. The second one is typical of type. So the first one is the girl who says like, just looking for an honest, good man, want someone serious, hoping against hope. No, if you're looking for hookups, just please swipe left, etc., right? So that's one very typical type of girl you'll see online. And with that girl, you can assess that she's one of 2 blueprints. Either she is the genuinely nice girl blueprint, not looking to hook up, etc., and maybe not even super sexual experience. That's a possibility. Or maybe she is the blueprint of she's made one too many mistakes because she actually is very prone to hooking up with guys from online, and she's trying to protect herself up front from that, or she's trying to at least give the excuse that if and when she did it, it's not slutty because she kind of recommended against it in the first place. But you can definitely infer that she either is innocent or maybe trying to play innocent for either your sake or her sake or something like that. So you can infer something about her blueprint from that. And more often than not, she probably either is or at least thinks she is being a good girl and trying to look for something semi-serious. Okay, so that's one very typical blueprint you'll see. Let me contrast that to one I saw the other day where the girl's entire profile, it said, the difference between me and a mosquito is that I don't stop sucking when you slap me. So a little bit of a different way of conveying herself, right? Clearly a girl that you can probably joke around with a little more. Clearly a girl that's not going to be offended if you say that some things that are a little more sexual, etc., etc. Now, that said, you could probably go wrong even with that girl with being blatantly sexually suggestive in the first message. And in fact, a profile like that in some ways is a shit test because you'll get a lot of guys who are just like, let's as their first message. And that's probably not a very good first message. It's probably a turnoff, right? It's similar to there's kind of a live shit test where a girl comes up and says like, you're really hot. I bet you want me, don't you? Something like that, where she's being super positive, but also super sexual. And if you're too eager for the sex, then it's a turnoff for her. You have to actually kind of like, keep some tension in the string as you move it forward, although it is a very positive place to be. All right. So, not to say that you should be blatantly sexual with the first message, but definitely once you start flirting and once there is some hint at sexuality, you can take some of the, you can take a few more liberties with that second girl than you would with the first girl in terms of the way you're going to message, the way way things are going to go. And you should also expect that certain topics are a little more viable. You should expect that she might have less hesitation about getting to a meetup, different things like that, right? So you're already from the profile determining certain things about her. You can determine certain things also to a certain extent from the way a girl's dressed in the profile to whether she has tattoos, different things like that. So you should be assessing from the very first moment, and then you're going to assess in the messaging as well. The messaging, what you want to notice are the trends. And I do want to point out that most of the messaging is not about knowing the blueprint so much as it's just about doing good messaging. Okay, that's the baseline, is doing good messaging, and then blueprint is a layer on top of it. It's not in place of it, and it's not something where you adjust what good messaging is and completely like throw that out the window. But so blueprint though, it's going to come up about messaging with which messages does she give you more often. So when you send a message to a girl that could lead to a bantery conversation or a logical conversation, does she keep defaulting to logical over and over and just kind of have a discussion with you? Or does she default to very bantery and witty and back and forth and shit testy? That's going to tell you a lot about the girl's personality and her vibe. And for some guys, they prefer one or the other, or some guys do better with one or the other. But certainly you should be adjusting to the one that she is. If she's giving a lot of shit test and banter, you should banter back, keep things a little a little bit playful and sexually charged and whatnot, and you should go ahead and close relatively quickly and go ahead and get to a phone call where you can banter more verbally or get her on a date. If the girl is being a lot more logical and just like writing long things, you should also take that as positive. You should understand that the fact that she's committing, the fact she's taking time to be meticulous and answer properly to your questions and things like that, and to share information about herself is positive. But you should also know you want to be very careful about not making it boring, and you want to include little bits of banter here and there, but you don't want to be all banter all the time to the point that you're making her uncomfortable, or the fact that you're denying her a connection. She's maybe trying to connect on logical facts. Maybe she's thinking of you in terms of connection and comfort more so than value, and maybe that's a bit of her blueprint. So you don't want to take that away from her. If she's trying to move things forward, if she clearly is responding positively but in a particular direction, don't fight the direction she's taking in, just steer it a little bit. The point with blueprint though is every single thing she tells you and every single thing she shows you, even unintentionally, i.e. her profile and things like that and her photos, they are telling you something. And what you're going to do is you're going to make your best guess. Okay, the key to blueprint really is guess and check. Right? You have the information in front of you, you make a guess. And depending on how good and reliable that information is, you either deviate a little bit based on that guess or deviate more based on that guess. And again, in online, you're going to deviate less than you would in live because the information is less reliable. But you're going to make a small deviation. And then once you make that deviation, that little guess, that little risk towards blueprints, then you're going to get feedback. Did it work? If it worked, you can be more confident that what you did is right, and you can double down a little bit in that direction. If it didn't work, you'd be like, okay, I misread the blueprint. Let's back off. Let's try something different instead of it. But that's really the answer, is guess and check. And over time, you're going to get a really good sense of good guesses, and you're going to get a really good sense of the information coming back to you. I do want to point out that the majority of the blueprint you're going to be getting doesn't start with the messaging. It starts with the profile. And if you've already kind of keyed into the blueprint in the profile and started with the first message, you're going to get much cleaner indicators in the messaging of her blueprint, and you're also going to get hopefully a lot of positive feedback that's going to help things move forward along that blueprint. So don't wait for the messaging to determine it. You want to start with a guess. Again, it's guess and check, and your guesses and checks will get better over time, but it's guess and check from the start. So take whatever information you have and go based on that.